Morning, everyone. It's Chris from Axel as well as Solstice. You can find us on both website, Instagram, Discord, YouTube. Remember, the YouTube channel is for free for everyone on weekly basis to review the overall market and what's coming up in the following week and pay attention for this quarter on the different sectors that we're going to talk about. I'm going to make it short and brief and happy Martin Luther King Jr. holiday on Monday. So we're going to have a short week trading this week. Remember, this is for illustration and educational use. We're not a broker dealer. Our past performance does not give us any indication of future results. Use at your own risk. And remember, we trade equities, options, ETFs, futures, Forex, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto. But most important is understanding the risk and the sector rotation on each of those instruments, whether it's domestic or international or in the global market, because we are seeing movements between the AI, minerals, semiconductor, technology companies, consumer products, defensive stocks. Let's go to the first slide that I have up here. I put the NASDAQ 100 and I put the electronically traded fund, which is the QQQ. You can use the micro NQ or NDX or /NQ for the electronically traded fund. If you trade equities, if you trade ETFs, and this consists of 5 different sectors in the NASDAQ 100. And you can see on the weekly bar, we have been range bound, have not been able to take the prior highs. And we had a star, which is a doji, undecided whether we're going to continue up or come back in. And we got to pay attention to these sectors. I put the ratios of the NASDAQ to the S&P. Small cap is doing very well next to the SPY or the electronically traded funds. Or you can use RTY/ES, the European to Asian markets, and the globals in relationship to the AI sector. Google is very strong in relationship to Baba. Apple, Baba are weak. Nvidia in relationship to Asia is weak as well because there are sector rotations. We can take a look at the EWY, and you can see in the EWY, when we did the sector rotation for Italy in the Eurozone, which is Poland, they have been saying, China's buying in the black market. I'm not going to say much. They buying gold, but Poland has been buying gold very heavily as well, because there is a race between the AI. You can take a look at Tesla. The international AI, they're going to space, correct? They need minerals, they need technology, and so on. So I'm relying on Google as well as Tesla. Gold and silver have moved quite a bit. German has not stepped in like Poland. Usually they do step in. They didn't buy, gold and silver as much as Poland did. You got the technology sector in relationship to the banks. We can see that there is sector rotations in there, and the DAX to the S&P, which I put it here twice. And I just wanted people to be aware of it. We got to pay to the international market as well as the domestic market in the bond sector, which is the rates in the US, the tariff between the global and domestic, what the charge is going to be for Europe, South America, Canada, Africa, Asia, East and West, as well as Australia. The domestic equity stocks that are in here, which represent the S&P 500 or the New York Composite, to the international, in the geopolitical hot zones that we are having over there. This is an international fund. XME is the metals. You can, start to choose different instruments that are running on resets that there is opportunity to buy, as well as software. And we're going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin. I'm not going to talk about Ethereum. Because all that sector, you can rely on Bitcoin. And people are turning to defensive sectors, from small cap, which is very strong, mid cap, and they're trying to rotate, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and so on. ExxonMobil, you can see that in the sectors as well as oil. I did not mention here oil, but the defensive stock is part of oil and metals. So last but not least, remember to check us out at solstice.com. solsticeatr.com or solstice.axelatrai.com. And remember, give us your commentary. Let us know what you think, and give us your opinion how you'd like this, video to be done to help you out in the coming weeks. I put the micro ES, which is the Fortune 500 company, instead of using the ES. And I showed you here on the daily chart that we had looked up. This was the Friday candle, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and Monday. We looked up on Tuesday, fell in. We are in a symmetrical triangle. As long as we are above the 69.25 area, 23 area, that's going to be strong. Or are we going to go back and break up? Or are we going to break down and lose this area to create a lower high? So we are paying attention to that symmetrical triangle in the overall market. In the S&P, this is the value high for the S&P 500 on the volume profile on the charts. What I can do is show you how to do this. You can use the monkey bars. I'm going to just load it up. I'm going to use the daily monkey bars to show you the overall volume profile where the value high is and the value low. This is representing a couple of months from 9/1 till January 16 of this year, 2026. You can see that this is the new year we started. This is the new year. This is a change in contract. We are above value area high, and value area low is the cloud. The point of control where most volume is, and you can see the marking is right there. But the value low for the monthly bar, if I use the December levels, that would be there. So I just wanted everyone to, so you can see the high for the year and the high from the prior November lows. The machine grabbed the highs and lows. That 50 SMA is right here. We have the 18. We tested it a couple times. Whenever we test it, sometimes it acts as support. And if we end up breaking, I'm paying attention to this area here. Let's go back to a clean chart without no moving average, okay? I'm going to get rid of the moving average, and we're going to just use a clean chart so that way everyone can see the levels on the S&P 500. And we're going to use the measuring tool, how to use it, or I'll use the NASDAQ. The micro NQ, I want to show you the micro NQ, has been undecided. You can see on the daily, it was a wick up and a wick down, but it stayed basically a little bit lower than Thursday's candle. The Wednesday was a down and a move up. You can see where it closed, and where Thursday was up coming in, we closed right on that area, and we closed here inside that candle. And on Friday, we tried to look up, couldn't make it, and we fell in. If we lose this area, I am paying attention to the 25,265, which created the higher low and higher high. You can see we were creating higher high, but have not been able to take this big candle from the highs to the higher, lower high, lower high from here. You can see you can draw a channel, and from this low, we got a higher high from this one, and this is a higher high from this one. So we are paying attention to this level in case we do lose it. And this is the value area low on the monthly bar, that price line that I have. If I end up losing it and I lose this candle, then the F3, which is a 38.2, we may see 50% creating a lower high. But if we end up reversing and the strength comes out on the short week back to the upside and we clear this area, then off to the races. So you got to trade what the charts offer you, not what you think. Let's take a look at the NYA, New York Composite, sorry. You can see in the NYA, we've been pushing up very well, which represent most of the sectors in the in the New York Composite, which gives you the overall view of what the economy is doing in relationship to the XLK, which is the tech sector in the NASDAQ 100. You can see in the last 10-15 days, we've been range bound, have not been able to break the highs or break this low. I am paying attention to this area. We can box it so everyone can understand this area here. Until you get out of this, we need to do it a little bit higher. There we go. Until we get out of this consolidation, I'm going to not include this candle. I'm going to include those bottom ones. So I'm going to mark them a little bit lower. You can see that this box, until we resolve either to the upside or resolve to the downside, pay attention to the tech sector. And that's one way to look at the NASDAQ 100. And the semiconductor, which is the Magnificent Seven, I do include in the Magnificent Seven Netflix and Intel would be reporting in this coming week. on that short week. I'm going to show you how it looks like. And you can see that this consolidation, every time we created that high, we were creating triple bottoms, and eventually we tested them in case we end up weak in Netflix. If the earning were, it's about $7.50 earning report. So we got to pay attention to Netflix as well as Intel, where it would put us in that sector. So you can see I have included Netflix in the Magnificent Seven. So let's take a look at now the semiconductor SMH. In the semiconductor, you have to pay to NVDA because it's a little bit weaker. There are sector rotations in the defensive and the AI race. So you have to pay attention to these sectors in order to stay on the right side of the trade, because we are seeing and changing trends and momentum in the charts. So I will do last but not least Bitcoin, micro BT. I just want to show everybody that micro BT, and I had mentioned it in the prior 3 weeks. We were creating that rounded bottom, and I said pay attention. If we come back in and bounce back up, which we did, we created that cup, the handle of it, we broke up, came back to retest the prior breakout. If we end up holding this area, that would be great. If the sectors don't hold and we lose this area, we enter back into this area, we are back in the chop zone because we have not been able to take the pivot point or the signal alert, which was these three candles. This was the breakdown of them. And then we fell down. We tried to rally, couldn't make it, fell down, found some level, grinded back up. We cleared the 95,000, let's call it. We looked up, came back in that range. I am paying attention very sharply to this area in relationship to those sector rotations in Bitcoin, crypto, Ethereum, and so on. So be sharp. You can trade ETFs such as Bitminer, SBIT for the short, IBIT for the long, and so on. And let's take a look at right now IWM before I do the measured move on the NASDAQ 100. You can see in the small cap in the prior week, I had mentioned, hey, there was a breakout here in the last 2 weeks, and we had this candle here, and we pushed up. You can see we had that move up here, but we had a doji. Even if coming back down here and rallying back up in small cap or mid cap, there are things that you need to look for to see if the tariff, if the interest rates, the Federal Reserve Board, Jay Powell will be still on the board, but he's not going to be running the Feds. There's going to be a new chairman up there, so we have to pay attention to that, as well as the global markets, the geopolitical hot zones in relationship to the Euro, Asia, Australia, US, Canada, and South America. So, and we can see that if I use the micro CL, I want to show everybody the micro crude oil after Venezuela. They took the vessel, they took the prime minister, they brought him in for basically, but not just for questioning, for being a bad president. They brought him in and they put him on trial. So let's see what the results are in the next couple of weeks. You can see that push up, coming back down, and crude oil is holding that 58 area. Even coming back here and bouncing back up, I am paying attention to crude in relationship to micro GC, which is in gold. Oops. GC. And you can see that in gold, we kind of rounded ourselves, pushed up, came back in, consolidated at that breakout, which is this area, tested it, ran back up, created a high. We tested it here, even coming back down to here and bouncing back up. It is okay because it will end up matching this area and this consolidation on micro GC. Last but not least, let's take a look at the NASDAQ, the NQ. NQ. I should show you silver, micro SI or S. We can use it. That's the silver. I just want to show everybody, even coming back down to here and bouncing, that is okay in silver. Let's take micro here, and I'll finish up this video using the micro NQ NASDAQ 100. You can see that large consolidation, what we talked about. So what we're going to do on the daily chart here, we're going to come in, go in intraday. On the intraday, we can use 10 to 15 days or 20 days. We're going to use 4-hour charts. And on the 4-hour charts, what I'm going to do is show you that range. We looked up, fell in, looked up, fell in. We couldn't take over this area here. So my weekly highs is here. My weekly lows are here. You can see where my 50% is. And I'm going to use a measuring tool for the expected move. So instead of use this box, what I want to do is get the measuring tool and measure it from high to low. I'm going to edit the property so everyone can see it. I have a 0 to minus 100, 100 to plus 200, and we're going to change the color to cyan. And from here, I'm going to extend it back till at least 12. And I'm going to put 25. The reason why I want to go back on the charts to the left to show you where the 80% is in case we do clear that area, which is around 78%. Then back to the races, try to see if we can clear this area, which is a hot zone. It's basically being in chop. And if I end up losing this area and this area, then things may change the market because this is the 0, the 20. If I end up losing the 20 and the 100, then back to the other side of the fence. And what I wanted to show you is the extensions to the upside and downside on the chart in relationship to the overall market. So we can go now, understand if the momentum indicators such as an RSI, stochastic, a MACD, and so on, or divergence, ADX, DMI products that will give us an overall view of what the market wants to offer us. So we can go to the daily. I'm going to go back and create a custom. We're going to go to 25 here just to show you how to import it. And we're going to use 9 months, which is, October, November, December, and so on. We can use the 25 till here. And you can see on the daily that we've been in this range for a while. When we looked up, we have not been able to clear here. This is why I extended it to the right to show you, hey, we are still in chop, but we got to pay attention to the overall market to see if we're going to resolve up or down. So what I'm going to do on the last chart, put the moving averages for everyone. I'm going to go into style. We're going to load the moving averages, and I will talk about the moving averages, how to use them. Clean MA, moving averages, simple moving averages. What I wanted to do here is show you where my 50 SMA, every time we tested it, this time we lost it, went up, we lost it. Here we are in chop zone in that box. It's very choppy, the NASDAQ, because there are sector rotations due to the Magnificent Seven, including Netflix. You can look at Oracle, you can look at Hood, you can look at NVDA, you can look at, Iron, because I want everyone to understand that these things now, we are in a very compressed area. We have the 116 SMA holding us up. Every time we tested it, we kind of found a nice support on the bounce. If we come back here and find support on the short term and we get a nice bounce, that would be a good, reset, reevaluate where you're at, what's going on, and off to the races. But if we break up this area, then it's okay. We go to the other side. So, and this is, you can see a Virgin Control VPOC. You can see it. It's marked in purple. This area, when we came in, this was the interest rate when J Powell announced that interest. We had that gap down, rally up. We came back, retested this same area and bounced off, but we have not been able to clear this candle here. That's very important to understand. I hope this video was very helpful. If you have more questions, we're here to help. Enjoy the long weekend. Take care. Over and